right here, it's all about prices. You know, we keep tracking all the price movements right here for major commodities. And, well, as most of us, you know, we pray for our daily bread. And if you're looking at, you know, bread in the physical, we see the prices going up a lot. So I hope that doesn't mean we have to pray more. But today we're going to be talking about bread prices and what to expect for the industry, that's the baking industry. And joining me for this conversation, we have Mr. Thomas Babalola, is the Public Industrial Relations Officer at Premium Bread Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. We also have Madam Adijat Olani Olokwade's Financial Secretary, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. They're both joining me right here in the studio. It's great to have you both.
Good to have you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. So, you know, I've been tracking bread prices, you know, for a while now. And, you know, from data I received from Financial Derivatives Company, if you can put that up for us, I will see on the streets, that's in the streets of Lagos, I think a loaf of bread is about 1,600 naira at this point, depending on what street you're buying from. I want to believe then maybe supermarket price, maybe around 1,200. Then if you're looking at inputs for baking, we've seen the prices of wheat, we've seen the prices of sugar, and yeah, that's it right there, wheat. The year low, 4,800 naira for wheat. Current prices around about 11,500 naira for about 50 kilogram bag. Sugar, 85,000 naira. That's most of bakery inputs. That's this data coming from Financial Derivatives Company. No. Right. From a year low of about 31,000. So, you know, definitely, I know these prices move.
This is incorrect.
You know, constantly. But what are you seeing for prices, you know, of wheat and sugar?
This is incorrect for wheat.
For wheat, that's not
Are you talking about raw wheat or flour?
We're talking about flour.
Flour. No, okay, this is incorrect.
No.
Wheat had not been 4,000 in the past.
No, that's year low. That's not the current price.
It has not been 4,000 in the past 5-6 years.
Oh, okay.
It's never, even in the past 10 years, it's never been 4,000. So maybe that's why I say, is it raw wheat or flour?
Right.
Flour now is averaging 70,000.
7,000.
Yes.
Okay, that's for how many kilograms?
For 50 kg.
50 kg?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, depending on where you're buying.
Where you're buying. And I think we started the year for about 40,000.
Right.
So it's averaging about 64, 70.
What about sugar?
67. Sugar is average of about 80,000 now.
80,000.
80,000,
okay.
80,000, 82.
Then eggs. I know we're right with eggs.
Eggs is
for a crate.
A crate of eggs is about 6,000 naira now.
6,000 naira.
Yes.
So many price shocks, you know, at this point. How's your industry navigating all of this? Let me start with you.
Okay. Number one, we are Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, and we call ourselves the elite bread makers, which is because of this outrageous price increase. That's why we're planning to have, we have a P-Band Day out sometimes next week, November 21st. And the theme is we are looking at innovations in bread making with the use of local and cheaper alternatives, which is the crux of what we're discussing here today. Basically, wheat is about 80% of what we use. Wheat, sugar follows, and fat. And the increase we've had since the beginning of the year is unprecedented. So when we have a P-Band Day out, it's something that we started last year. It's like a get-together seminar. We invite industry heads to come and talk about how we can improve the bread making industry. So this year, our theme particularly is about innovations, what we're going to use, at least invariably, to bring down the prices of bread. So we're having the P-Band Day out at Academic Hall on the 21st of November. Our guest speaker is the DG of Firo, and he's going to be talking about innovations in bread making with use of alternative and cheaper materials.
And talking about cheaper alternatives and cheaper inputs, I'll come to you now, Mr. Babalola. Talk to me, what are these innovations or trends you've seen, you know, so far in the industry?
Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon, viewers, wherever you're watching us from. Actually, the theme, the content of the theme is driven by the cost of inputs. Is it realistically we cannot have all our inputs, we cannot have everything locally. But what we're trying to do, we're trying to look at the low-hanging fruits, the one that we can have locally. For example, the more talk about cassava bread, it's been there forever. So we want to give it a new impetus through FIRO. So that we can have, let's say, 10% of cassava input. And this will, in a way, help to bring out the cost of production, increase our productivity, and on the long run, increase our margin. And again, lower the forex.
Dependence on forex. And definitely, I've heard a lot of talk about that, cassava flour. And there was a taste issue, if I'm correct. Some Nigerians weren't too fond of the taste.
It's not really. People are very, very sensitive to taste. It depends on our taste buds. But it's a mindset. But from the look of things, you can have in soya. We've seen bread baked with some inputs of soya, and you hardly find any difference in it. It depends on preference, but our people have a very strong mindset about what they've been eating for years. So any strong alterations is going to have an effect. And for example, we tried something like that was orange fresh potato. Sometimes we were in FIRO, we did the demonstration. We had bread baked, supervised by FIRO. But in all of this, the idea is just to, first of all, get more local inputs into bread making. And you see, trickle-down effect, our farmers, our processors will have more to work with, more money in their pockets. But basically, that's why we want to do this day out, is to bring all stakeholders across the entire bread value chain, equipment, makers, flour millers, what have you. And we are inviting the public. We want to use this medium to invite the public to come to our day out. It's going to be a fully loaded day.
I'm sure loaded with bread, hopefully, for whoever's looking to attend.
Bread and lots of goodies.
Exactly. But talk to me about advocacy now. I know your group is, strong on trying to, speak to the government, direct them in policies that would help your industry and help the consumer, by driving down prices. How would you describe this government reception, to your recommendations?
Okay. Since beginning of the year, this administration, they've been trying to bring down the rate of wheat. There was the import duty-free that the government brandished, because I'll say brandished because it hasn't come to play. That if the import duty, they were going to give them, the importers, maybe like 3 months import waiver. Yes, but up till now, it has not come to play because with the import duty being paid on wheat plus the 50% surcharge. Exactly. That's what has made wheat, despite the issue of the war they have in Russia now. Russia is the major producer of wheat.
Right.
So if the government could do something about the waiver on the 15% surcharge on wheat and encourage local imports. I know wheat, Northerners cultivate wheat, but there has not been so much effort on it. If the government could intentionally, like maybe have an agric support intentionally for wheat, that would sort of reduce the price we pay for flour now, because there's so much there's no way we can. 80% of bread is flour. Even with the local imports, there's no way we can use more than 10% of cassava. So that means we still need 70%. And the 70% is being imported. We produce less than 5% of our local use now. The government did something on rice and it worked. So the emphasis that we place on rice, if the government could at least, that's the advocacy that our association, that's what we're doing, working on now. If the government could at least put the kind of effort they put on rice that made the local production of rice improve. If they can do that on wheat I'm sure we're not going to be talking about the increase in bread. And bread is almost as important as rice in Nigeria. There's hardly
we don't
household.
We don't pray about daily rice.
Right, exactly.
We pray for daily bread. So I guess that makes
hardly any
really important
where they won't eat bread.
All right.
So we need government assistance on production of wheat locally.
Okay. So, Mr. Babalola, from where you're sitting right now, I want you to, look into 2025.
Right.
That's coming, soon. What do you see?
Right.
What do you see, for bread prices if we continue, at this pace and maybe with the innovations, coming up?
Right. Yeah, it's a tough question, but I will answer it. You see, if the necessary things are not done, like my colleague said here, government has to be bullish about it. Government has to, because whether we like it or not, there's going to be disruption in the food value chain, entire supply chain all over the world because of the war going on in Russia and Ukraine, because those are major food belts. The government must be determined to say, okay, now we have to do what we call backward integration. Without that, I'm not sure we're going to have a drop. Because it's in our own interest for the price of our bread to come down. If the price comes down, we sell more, we make more sales, and it's more margin for us. But 2025 is still a long shot. But the government must be proactive and actually listen to our advocacy. Not only with sugar. These are the major drivers, major takers of forex. And once the government can look into that, we have large expanse of land. We can cultivate sugarcane in the north, and like my colleague said, it's only 5% that we produce, and that's our Bismarck. If you can hit like half mark, 50%, I think the price will naturally come down.
Right.
Without that.
All right. I guess it's safe to say, currency weakness impacts every industry at this point.
Totally.
No industry, is left out.
Absolutely.
So, hopefully, we get that the naira stronger so we can all survive. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas Babalola, as a Public Industrial Relations Officer, PBAN, and Mr. Dijat Olani Olokpade is the Financial Secretary, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria. It was great having your perspective, and I hope for the very best for the industry. Going forward.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure.
All right.